This is a fairly recent bottle of Redbreast 15-year-old pot still Irish whiskey. This is not a fairly recent bottle of Redbreast 15-year-old pot still Irish whiskey. Today we compare. We have the OG, the original gangsta, versus the new updated release. Welcome to Whiskey and Whiskey. I'm the Whiskey Chaser Brian. I hope you're keeping well. Now, first of all, before we go any further, I want to give a huge shout out and a mention to a fan of the page, channel, and all-around legend, Jer Daly, who supplied both of these bottles today for my comparison. It's not a review, it's a comparison. Jer is a fan of the channel and also a friend. We often have had conversations and sat and drank together at many of the Whiskey Guild tastings that we have here in Kilkenny. Jer, thank you very much. You're an absolute legend. Without you, this comparison would not have been possible. So the general idea of the video is this: does the modern Redbreast 15 taste as good as the original release, or vice versa? I did a video a good while ago and I went into very specific detail on the modern Redbreast 15. I have reviewed it already on my YouTube channel and I will leave a link above if you want to watch that. I'm not going to be going into massive detail on the front of this bottle. It's just kind of more so a comparison video. However, as this is the original bottling, I will give some detail into it, how it came about. I feel it's only kind of fair. And I know this is one of the original bottlings because when doing the research, the bottle code, which you should see on the screen, references the correct bottling code at the time of release, which Jer was kind enough to share with me via some online articles that verify this. To sum up, this is 100% original. This is the real deal. Released in late 2005, early 2006 to celebrate La Maison du Whiskey's 50th anniversary. What's odd here is that there is absolutely no reference to La Maison du Whiskey on the label. It does, however, reference pure pot still whiskey, which we know today is now single pot still whiskey due to that TTV. It was originally released as a limited release and not even limited to La Maison du Whiskey, which is kind of mad today, but these were picked up in Celtic Whiskey Shop by Jer on the day after the launch that he was invited to for 96 euros each, which were kind of like is a bargain price for this bottle, which the modern day bottling is more in and around the 115 euro-ish mark. Now, the whiskey itself in 2007 was named the Irish Whiskey of the Year and subsequently around that time also became part of Redbreast's core range of pot still whiskies. The whiskey chosen for this bottle ranged in between the 15 to 19-year-old. The newer version has somewhat changed their DNA slightly from when it was first released back in 05-06, and I don't have the details on how much. My connect is gone. Nowadays, you get a pot still whiskey combining malted and unmalted barley that's finished in first fill bourbon and first fill Oloroso sherry bots. Not too different from this, but there's much more of a bourbon influence in the 15-year-old iteration than its younger sibling, the 12-year-old. Which turns a lot of people off, I suppose. They like the more sherry element of the 12. But the good thing about this is that it's 46% ABV, both of them, which is 6% higher than the 12-year-old. Now, what's also kind of unique enough through my own research and also the notes that Jer has shared with me, IDL referenced the whiskey as being aged for 15 years in pure pot stills. You legally can't age whiskey here in Ireland in pot stills. It's got to be a wooden cask or a wooden vessel. So I'm certain that's a little typo. I believe labeling laws were a lot more lax back in those times. A lot more. Now, what's absolutely crazy is that there is no mention anywhere on the bottle of La Maison du Whiskey's 50th anniversary because it was plastered all over the 60th anniversary single cask release through Redbreast. Different times, I guess. So now my favorite part of the video is where we move on to the tasting. We're going to get both of these into the glass here, have a little nose, have a little sample. I was going to do them one by one, but then I kind of thought that has definitely more of kind of a review vibe. As this is a comparison video, I'm going to put them into this glasses at the same time and we'll go through both individually at the same time. Two Glencairns with the Friends of Middleton. Lucky. The packaging has certainly gotten more difficult to open, that's for sure. Release. Okay, so I've given these a couple of minutes to just kind of breathe a little bit, and we'll do some tasting notes. I'm kind of digging the old style boxes, to be honest with you. I always find that I like more of a kind of a retro look to things. Don't get me wrong, the new bottles, a lot cleaner. Do kind of, you know, with the embossing on the bottle and stuff like that, do scream a little bit more premium, but the old school bottles is just for me where it's at. Maybe it's because I'm an old school dude, I don't know. But I like that. Anyway, they should do an homage bottling back to the original 15, Le Maison de Whiskey. What a privilege this is, by the way. We'll just get the boxes out of the way. Okay, first up, the original, the OG. Ooh, quite creamy, quite nice. Plenty of Oloroso sherry coming through there, so you have your dried fruit notes, but there's a creaminess to it. There's kind of a vanilla cream that stands out. A little bit of an alcohol-y nosiness there, but kind of a nice, soft, subtle, little bit of strawberries and cream there. Quite delicious. Very, very kind of sweet, but woody, tannic. The bourbon notes are coming through. Not overly crazy, but it's certainly not as Oloroso-y sherry as would say the Redbreast 12 or the Redbreast 12 cast strength for that much, but that's a different animal. Now to the newer one. Oh wow, yeah. So the Oloroso sherry is pared back an awful lot here. Still there, but what I'm kind of getting is a more refined nose. Oh yeah, pot still spices. Your vanillas from your bourbons, even a hint of, a slight hint of a citric note. It's almost, they've obviously had a lot of time to work on the makeup and the DNA of these, but going back to this is so much more kind of oilier, creamier, thicker, wider kind of nosing spectrum, I guess. I get what I'm getting. There's a lot more sherry, a lot more pot still spices, a lot more creaminess, that kind of sherry cream note. Whereas this is a lot more refined. It's more kind of the bourbony notes coming through, and the Oloroso is standing in there to kind of round the edges out quite a nice bit. Both fine examples. I mean, that's lovely, but it's so different. So different, but the DNA is quite similar. Okay. Oh, I'm liking that. I'm really liking that. Almost antique-y, kind of, there's like an antique-y woody note there, whereas here, more tannic. Not as antique-y. Not as peppery either. We'll drink this one first. Sláinte. Oh my God, that's so good. Do you know what? And a hint of grapefruit there. Oh, lovely spice to it. Not overpowering pot still spices, but definitely some caramel. I'm getting loads of like woody, tannic and chocolate vibes on the palate. A very, 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 very slight hint of bitterness. And that citric note is still there a little bit. This is actually a lot more, now that I go back to the nose on it. This is a lot more citric. More vibrant. That's a kind of a duller nose, as in, I don't really know. I don't know how to explain it. More kind of an older kind of style pot still. Thick, heavy, whereas this one is a little bit lighter and more concentrated. Anyway, on the palate, Sláinte. Oh, different animal. Both of these are, you know, very complex for what they are. A lot more, I know on the nose, I kind of found the more wood, bourbony kind of notes coming through, whereas the Oloroso kind of rounded out the edges, whereas on the palate now, getting a lot more kind of orange peel, exotic spices. The dried fruit note from the Oloroso sherry is coming through more here. There was more of a chocolate and caramel vibe off of this one. Whereas this one is just a little bit more vibrant, a little bit more toasted oak, a little bit more dried fruits. So I just kind of gave myself a minute with each one, just, you know, to do it a bit of justice to tasting. And they're so similar in so many retrospects and then so different as well. This one, as soon as you get it on the palate, you get that real kind of caramel, chocolatey, oily, pot still kind of notes. Whereas there's not as much dried fruits coming through as on this one. However, I think if I remember correctly, there was more Oloroso used in this one, or Oloroso butts used in this one than bourbon, and vice versa in this one. But this one has way more, kind of a way more body to it than I think than this one. This one is completely refined down. It's you know, very much kind of nose, palate, finish. Your nose is dried fruits, a little bit tannicky, not so much Oloroso, but a nice intertwining with bourbon. Palate, dried fruits coming through. You know, kind of a little bit of a citric note to it, but not as wide, not as oily, not as creamy as this one. I do have a favorite. Stand by. Now, for all of you out there who have had a chance to try both of these, this is my first time comparing them side by side. Which did you prefer? And has anyone tried the original? Because if not, I would suggest you beg, borrow, and steal a sample if you can. I don't even know how much they're gone for on auction. The originals, I know that I saw it on a website yesterday during Shiro for €450. Crazy price, considering they were 96 at the start. A collector's item, but as you can see, Jer is a sound man and likes to open his whiskeys. Jer, I want to buy a sample off of you. Just want to say one more time before I give you my verdict, thank you again, Jer, for allowing this video to happen. What a wonderful community of like-minded enthusiasts, and I'm shocked you truly trust my tasting notes. Maybe you don't, I don't know. Maybe you don't. So, my verdict. Here's the thing, they're both fantastic whiskeys. Redbreast 15 is amongst my favorite in the entire core range. My favorite being, of course, the 21, and depends sometimes the 27, although I will stay with the 21. Anyway, I digress. The comparison here was, again, quite unique. A one-off, doubt I'll ever get to do that again. Two very similar, very different whiskeys. If I had a winner, clearly it would be this one. The oiliness, the creaminess, the full bodiness of it, I think it intertwines with the bourbon and the sherry casks very, very well. I love that chocolate note and caramel note on the palate. For me, that is a winner. It just gives that essence of richness, of real kind of, I don't want to say old school, because I've had some old school Irish whiskeys, but definitely older school Irish whiskeys where, you know, quality is there. Now, I'm not saying this is a bad quality whiskey. It's Redbreast. They don't really do, well, some people will argue that the 10-year-old wasn't their favorite, but they don't do bad quality whiskeys. This one, however, is a completely different whiskey in my opinion. Same, but totally different. Not as full bodied, not as creamy. Palate notes, all that kind of stuff is definitely there, but it's missing a certain width and a certain essence of kind of old school that this one has, that I prefer. And it's very rare that you see newer whiskeys coming down the line that have that kind of body to it. So for me, the clear winner is the old school Mason Dew Whiskey 50th anniversary Redbreast 15. Thankfully, which became a core range product a number of years back. So there you have it. Now, if you do get an opportunity to try the 15, I would highly recommend that you somehow get a hold of this. I don't know how you're going to do it. I don't know, maybe you won't, I don't know. Even if you can't, and if you've never tried it, 15, definite winner as well. just when you have them side by side. So similar yet so different, it's crazy. But it was an absolute pleasure, thanks very much. And hopefully, yeah, we'll have more videos coming soon. I haven't done one in ages, so I kind of record these in batches, so and take a break from whiskey for a while. And we'll see what happens. I do have a couple of whiskeys in the back here that need to be kind of looked after. A few friends have sent some on and stuff like that. If you do want to send me any whiskeys that you want me to review or compare or have your thoughts on, do send me a sample. Get in touch with me via Instagram, YouTube, all that kind of good stuff, and reach out. Until the next time, thanks very much for tuning in. Whiskey Chaser, out. Sláinte.